Bill who?
My name is Bill Wilkins, and I'm 72 years old.
We are all familiar with the nail-biting Conjuring movies, a line of productions that have no doubt aided the revolution of the horror genre by providing us viewers with sinister plots, malevolent spirits, eerie vibes, and the most insane jump scares. Us as horror fanatics watch the movies for a good scare, and that's the end of it. But what if I told you that for some that was not the case? That the horror we have come to know and love first existed beyond our television screens and had been plaguing an innocent family in real life. Let me introduce you to the Hodgsons, a family consisting of single mother, Peggy, her two daughters, Janet and Margaret, and two sons, Johnny and Billy. A seemingly normal family had no idea that one fateful night would change their lives forever and send them into a head-on battle of good versus evil. It was on the evening of Tuesday the 30th, August 1977, at 284 Green Street, Enfield, London, where Peggy marched to her children's bedroom to tell them to quit fighting and get some sleep. But before sleeping, Janet told her mother that the brothers' beds were wobbling. I'm pretty sure you can guess what happens next. Like in almost every good horror movie, one of the main characters does not take the claims to heart, and this was no different for Peggy. Little did she know that the very next night, she would come to realize that her kids were telling the truth. Peggy heard a loud sound coming from upstairs which clearly alarmed her, but when she stepped into her children's bedroom, she knew something bad was brewing, especially after a heavy oak chest of drawers began moving on its own and ultimately tried to trap them in the room by covering the door. After that terrifying encounter, Peggy took her kids and fled to the next door neighbors, Vic and Peggy Nottingham, where she pleaded for help. The neighbors offered to go into the home to investigate, and according to a press statement made by Vic, he became increasingly frightened after hearing violent knocking coming from both the walls and the ceilings of the kids' bedrooms.
The woman next door, she called me in. We couldn't make out what it was. I heard the knocking as I walked in the front door, but I went all over the house, checked it, checked the walls, checked everything. Just couldn't make out what it was. So in the end, I thought to myself, well, there's only one thing. I'll call the police.
Us together. And then all of a sudden, a pool of water come from nowhere in the middle of the floor in the kitchen. And then we heard the toilet chain pull. And there was no one at all out in the toilet. We was all in the kitchen. And the door opened in the toilet, then the chain went, and as we walked out there, the toilet brush came from the thing what it was in, the container, and the brush just come up and settled on top of the toilet. Just like that, as if someone had just got in there, pulled the chain and then took the brush up and to wash the toilet. And the doors, and then the bathroom door opens, and the kitchen table has just tipped up. And there's Janet, one of the girls, she's been just sitting on the chair and she's been thrown completely across the room.
There's a child's chair, I bet it weighs about 10 pounds, padded one with metal legs. And the child is sleeping in a single bed one side of the room, and I was sitting on a single bed the other side of the room with his chair in the middle. The child went to sleep and all of a sudden she got a little bit restless. Well, just after that, his chair was lifted off the ground and it was thrown about 9 foot through the air, a good 9 foot, for no reason whatsoever. No one was on the end of it. Didn't touch no one, just went a straight line down the room.
And what did you do?
I ran out the room again. You know, I mean, when you see these things, there's nothing on the end of them. You begin to shake.
Upon the neighbors returning to their house, clearly shaken up, Peggy had called the Metropolitan Police, and this is where eyebrows start to raise, when even Police Constable Carolyn Heaps and her team became true believers, signing an affidavit to the effect that she had witnessed an armchair levitate approximately half an inch and move close to 4 feet across the floor, and she stated that they were unable to determine the cause of the movement. However, they were for certain it was nothing criminal.
Came off the floor, or nearly a ½ inch, I should say, and I saw it slide off to the right, about 3.5 to 4 feet before it came to rest. I checked to see whether or not it could possibly have slid along the floor. I placed a marble on the floor to see whether or not the marble would go in the same direction as the chair did, and it didn't roll at all. I checked for wires under the cushion of the chair, and I could find no explanation at all.
The next night, Vic, the neighbor, went back to the house and was attacked with flying Lego bricks. Multiple sources reported that marbles and Lego blocks flew across the house for 3 days, and various people tried to help, including members of the council and the Christian church, but to no avail. After the failed attempt to stop the increasing paranormal activity, neighbors Mr. and Mrs. Nottingham decided to contact the Daily Mail in hopes of getting exposure and help for the Hodgson's case. When the story broke in the media, it caught the attention of renowned British paranormal investigator Maurice Grosse, who instantly took an interest in this case.
All the lights gone out. Oh! Wait! Where's the light out?
It's thrown the lamp
on the head!
right way across the room and pulled it out of the socket.
Quick, turn the lamp off!
The light plug was pulled from the socket 3 times after that. Then, after a period of watching and waiting, something even stranger happened.
Who's that shaking the door? What's on there? Mum's laughing. Where is it? Oh! What's that?
The slipper was thrown across the room and hit
Oh,
the door
not my one.
as I was holding the door.
My one!
The white slipper hit the door as I was holding the door.
He hit me on the leg. Where's the other one?
The other one's over here.
What sort of a case is this in your experience?
Well, I think this is probably the best case this century. In fact, as far as documentation is concerned, it may be the best case of all time.
What special aspects make it so?
Well, the entity itself has been very, very violent at times, and of course the witnesses and documentation have been excellent. The violent things I've seen happen are the furniture moving, the furniture being thrown upside down. In fact, one night I was standing here, there were about 11 or 12 people in the room, and I was standing talking to one of the members of the family, and I in front of the settee, and the settee went straight up in the air and turned upside down, right in front of me, no more than a foot away from me.
What particular tape stands out in your mind?
Well, I think one particular tape that stands out in my mind is the incident where I was communicating with it quite a long while, very seriously, and then something happened which was very funny indeed.
Knock. 1 for no and 2 for yes. Are you a male spirit? 1 for no and 2 for yes. That's 2. You are a male spirit. Did you used to live in this house? You did. Was it more than 50 years ago? Yes. Did you die in this house? Did you pass on? You did pass on in this house. Now, why are you here? Are you unhappy? You're not unhappy. But why are you here? Is it because you want to give us a special message? No. You don't want to give us a special message. Are you having a game with me? Oh, right.
Oh, gross.
As I asked the question, are you having a game with me? It threw the cardboard box and the pillow right at my face. Well, thank you very much. That was a very good answer.
Over time, it became clear that the entity had taken a particular interest in the younger daughter, Janet, as it was reported that she had a severe license to swear and displayed increasingly aggressive behavior during the hauntings. It was said that she would rush across the room and bash her head on the wall, go into manic fits of rage, scream and swear until she would have to be physically restrained, which had family members fearing that she would injure or worse, kill herself. However, one day, Janet's behavior took an even darker turn. Maurice Groves, the paranormal investigator, was able to interview and document Janet while she was allegedly being possessed by the spirit of a man named Bill Wilkins, the previous owner who died in the home.
I was going to ask the same question as I asked earlier. How many voices are there?
600.
600 the voices.
I know the joke.
How many really are there, Margaret?
I think so far we've had 10
Three.
sensible voices, but the rest of the names are absolute
How
rubbish.
does it feel to be haunted by a poltergeist?
It's not haunted. Shut up.
Why isn't it haunted?
I don't know.
Does it frighten you, the things that happen here?
Oh, well, it did first, but now I've got more used to it, and you learn to accept the things that happen.
It's slung covered at Mum. My idiot Mum. Slung a bookshelf at my ear.
Have you tried telling it to go away?
Yes,
Yeah,
many
no
times.
answer, nothing.
And what does it reply?
No, it won't. It'll stay another 6-7 years.
What about the voices? When did the voices start?
December the 12th.
December the 12th.
Yes.
And how did they start?
Well, one night Mr. Grove was talking about it about 8:30. He said, all we need now is the voices to talk. And that night we went to bed. Can't remember exactly what happened. And
What's that knocking?
yeah,
I can hear it now. I was doing that yesterday morning, and Peggy was on her own. So she come in to us, because it wasn't her, she come in. We sat together and we heard it. And I counted down my knocks and there was 14 altogether. And it's doing it again now.
That was 3 knocks just now.
Yes, it goes in 3s and 2s.
how we first got contacted, this was when Mr. Grove said, if there's anyone there, knock twice for yes, and if not, one for no.
I got her to take some water in her mouth, taped over her mouth, and it still spoke.
Hello, Mr. Blackbeard. Margaret's sleeping, I'm talking.
And then I said, all right, and I took the tape off, and she spat the water out. Now, as far as I know, there's not a ventriloquist in the world that can do that.
Down this train. Now we got the train. Now the fire.
This voice is coming from an 11-year-old girl. Well, perhaps, Guy, perhaps you've got something to say to them.
Yeah.
I'd like to know how you make this noise without bashing Janet's vocal cords to pieces. If I do it for half a minute, I get a sore throat.
Goose chasers here.
And we found on analysis, the voice was not made by the larynx, the voice box, but by the false vocal fold, which is above the larynx. And you only use that when you lose your voice and you talk like that. Well, if you talk like that for more than a couple of minutes, you start getting a sore throat. Talk like that for 5 minutes or so and you're going to start doing damage to your throat. And yet this voice used to speak up to 3 hours at a time. Not continuously, of course, but up to 3 hours at a time without the girl showing any distress at all. Absolutely remarkable.
You'll hear here the whistling first of all and then the barking.
Here is this.
The barking here is quite extraordinary, actually.
We got a doggy here.
I then said to it,
I then, as I said on the tape here, I then said to it, if you can whistle and bark and groan, then you can talk. And I asked it to actually say my name.
Well, just a minute. I'll try again. I want you to call out my name. My complete name. Morris Gross. See if you can do that. Very good. Let me hear you say my name again. Come on, let me hear you say my name. Come on, my name's Morris. Let me hear you say it. Morris.
Now that was the first time we heard the voice, and since then we've been hearing it again and again, and it's been getting louder and louder.
Mr. Gross, a lot of people, hearing these voices produced by the children, will simply say that they are very good ventriloquists and that this is all a hoax. How would you react to that?
Certainly not. They're certainly not very good ventriloquists. We have had tests on them to see whether they can ventriloquize. They can't. To keep up this particular type of voice for any length of time without damage to the vocal cords is absolutely impossible. I mean, there must be some hoarseness attached to it. But don't forget, these children don't do this for a couple of minutes or so. They do it for lengths of periods up to 3 hours, and without any hoarseness or sore throats whatsoever.
I'm invisible.
I'm invisible.
You're invisible? Why are you invisible? I'm a G-H-O-S-T.
Because I'm a G-H-O-S-T. Yes, he had quite a sense of humour. He also used to swear a lot as well.
Just like in the movie Conjuring, Janet seems to convey the message of Bill Wilkins from beyond the grave. While many skeptics doubted that Janet was actually possessed, during the paranormal investigation, it was said that the real Bill Wilkins' son, Terry, confirmed that Bill had died in the exact manner in which Janet described while she was allegedly possessed. The shocking revelation debunked all skeptic claims and gives reason to believe that Janet was actually possessed that day. As the case intensified and became a media sensation, it practically captivated everyone, but also managed to capture the attention of the world-renowned paranormal couple Ed and Lorraine Warren. Ed, the paranormal investigator, and his wife Lorraine, the clairvoyant, consulted on the case and stated that an inhumane spirit phenomena was in process while referring to the Hodgson's home. Contrary to the popular belief of the movie and its watchers, the Warrens actually had very little input into the initial investigation and only spent one night in the home. The British paranormal investigator Maurice Gross, the man behind the scenes, managed to capture even more chilling footage of the Enfield
Janet's
haunting.
asleep, and suddenly she's being dragged out of bed. She's dragged to the door opens on its own. She goes through the door, and we heard the commotion upstairs. We rushed up the stairs and caught her coming down the stairs head first.
Janet, where is she? I've tried to get out the room and I couldn't.
Tell me what happened.
I was in bed asleep. All of a sudden I felt something pull me by the arms out of bed. The door opened and I went out the door and I come flying downstairs.
So, I'm sure you're all wondering what brought this real-life horror to a halt. Well, the real-life Janet believes that a priest visit and cleanse in 1978 caused the haunting to calm down, though the occurrences did not completely end. Peggy still heard noises in the house from time to time, while Janet, who had gotten married at the age of 16 and left home early, had not particularly been thrilled about the making of the movie. The paranormal torment lasted up until the death of Peggy, after the youngest son, Billy, decided to move out and sell the property, stating that he constantly felt like he was being watched. The Hodgtons managed to go on to lead ghost-free lives, even though the family was severely plagued by death throughout the years. It was said that the next owners only survived 2 months in the Enfield home before fleeing in terror. However, nothing concrete was ever confirmed. So, my question for you, do you believe that the Hodgtons were actually being haunted? Or do you think this was just a money-making scheme? Let us know in the comments. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you get notified about all our top 5 videos. Hope to see you soon.